weirdness, darkness, barbed wire. So I've done my shopping list.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back to Frame by Frame. This is Andy.
Hello, guys.
And I'm of course the other guy.
Yeah. Stephen.
That's it.
The man from the other place.
That man from the other place. Now, Andy is the man in the blue shirt, and I am the guy with 3 t-shirts because I'm cold. So 2 more Lynch characters to.
Yeah. Well, today we're going to be talking about a film.
Yes, Blue
But
Velvet.
first we'll watch it. Hey.
Yeah, because neither of us has had a chance to watch Blue Velvet yet. So.
Yeah, so if we could just, I've got it on my phone here. So if we just.
Great.
Get it up.
Oh,
Right.
here we go. Hang on. Is that the telephone?
Who is it?
I don't know. Shall I have a look?
Yeah.
Hello?
Now, if you're playing the movie on a telephone, you will never in a trillion years experience the film. You'll think you have experienced it, but you'll be cheated. It's such a sadness that you think you've seen a film on your fucking telephone. Get real.
Okay. Well, that's us told.
Okay, so we're not going to watch Blue Velvet on the phone.
Let's stop it and we'll watch it on TV so we don't upset David anymore.
You talking to me?
Did you have a brain tumor for breakfast?
Then who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me?
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm clown.
I'm Peter Venkman. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Man that doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
Damn!
I'm kind of a big deal.
First rule of my club is do not talk about my
Yeah, baby!
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
So we're here on the other side.
Wow.
Maybe I should say the clock is running.
Yeah, because that hashtag's really caught on.
The clock is running! And it's 8 p.m. So, yeah.
So, right, Blue Velvet.
Blue Velvet. And we're also later going to talk about rabbits, which is why I'm saying weird stuff.
Yeah.
But what else is new? So, first of all, Blue Velvet. What's the year, Andy?
1986.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, the year of change.
Indeed.
Yes, it's the new era of Lynch. And what a way to start.
Well, yeah, because prior to this, obviously, we had Eraserhead.
Mm-hmm. Bizarre.
Yeah.
Gotta watch that again.
Yeah, incredible film. And then he did Elephant Man.
Still haven't had the...
You never watched Elephant Man?
never had the pleasure.
Right, that's really good. And then we have Dune,
Dune, yes.
which...
Yeah, Dune... I watch it in 2 ways. On my own, I can watch it and then really enjoy it as a sci-fi.
Yeah.
Or I can watch it with my wife and we just have a good laugh.
Oh.
Because there are some, bizarre things in that movie too.
Well, obviously
Funny.
the studio got hold of it and completely
Butchered it.
butchered it. And
The intro with all the... it's like a story at the beginning. It's
Yeah.
like a 10-minute intro.
But interestingly, prior to that, Lynch had turned down directing Return of the Jedi to do Dune,
Yes.
which I would have loved to have seen David Lynch's Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I mean, maybe J.J. Abrams can do something with that. Maybe Disney can...
It wouldn't be what Lynch would have done with it, though, would it?
No, but
Imagine Lynch.
Lynch of
Ewoks,
now. Yeah, Lynch Ewoks. Yeah, there'll be dwarfs.
Dwarf talking backwards, yet forward.
And it won't be in a forest, it'll be in a room.
Yeah. So anyway, to make Blue Velvet, because obviously Dune had been such a flop, he took a pay cut.
Yeah.
He said he'd make the film for like 6 million instead of 10 million, I think it was. And he took a pay cut himself just to get this film made.
Oh. So their budget was really low.
Yeah.
And he, literally just lived on air.
Yeah. And
as all artists should do. But
well, yeah, I think artists always thrive on
fear.
Restriction.
Yes, restrictions, yeah.
So, what a film.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where he works best, when he's got that pressure. And I think what happened afterwards was him just having fun.
Well, I think because of what he experienced with the studio completely ripping apart his idea of Dune, that he decided that he will not make Blue Velvet unless he has final cut of the film.
Exactly.
And that's why he took a pay cut. I will take a pay cut as long as I get final cut of the film.
Yeah, a lot of negotiating. Imagine that for this film he was really, really careful every step of the way. I mean, then you've got the casting. You've got
so you got Kyle MacLachlan, which obviously you met on Dune.
Yes, started a friendship.
Yeah, I thought I can use this guy. We got Laura Dern, which was his start of his relationship with Laura Dern as well. Yes. Because when he finds actors he likes, he stays with them, doesn't he? He uses them time and time again.
And I think that's kind of the trope of many good directors who want to focus on story first.
Yeah.
They don't want to worry about the actors. They don't want to worry about temperament or not being able to look at a camera properly. They want people who they can rely on time after time.
Yeah, yeah.
And also through recommendations, who they actually are friends with, to expand that room, so to speak. The room.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's dipped in here as well. I mean, like he did with Dune, he dipped into a lot of unusual choices for roles. Dean Stockwell was also in there.
Yeah.
And Dean and Dennis were pals, so that was through recommendation.
Right.
But of course, everybody loved Dean Stockwell. He's rock solid. He can do anything. Just put him in a movie, and he'll just act his heart out.
Yeah, he's very odd in this film.
He is very odd.
Acts very,
He likes his makeup. Yeah, in dreams.
Exactly. It's all sort of linked. So, obviously we've got Isabella Rossellini.
Isabella Rossellini. So it's a compelling cast.
Yeah.
Compelling.
Interesting. He wanted Helen Mirren for the part.
Really?
Yeah, and they were in negotiations, but she dropped out last minute, and he met Isabella Rossellini.
That's kind of interesting, because he never worked with her ever. Still, he still hasn't worked with Helen Mirren.
Yeah, but he supposedly finds his people,
Yeah, exactly. But Isabella Rossellini was pretty hot at the time, and I think weren't they married for a while? They
struck up a relationship after this.
After this,
she just split up with Martin Scorsese.
Oh, of course, yes. Yeah. She's had an incredible aura. And once again, by the way, Aspen is in the background.
So, what's the film about?
Okay. In short, it's a mystery.
Yeah.
It starts off with Kyle MacLachlan having a wander through a kind of a rough patch of ground, and
rough part in life. His dad's had a stroke, was it?
Yeah, stroke. He's in a hospital, so he's unable to talk very well. So on the way back from the hospital, he was looking. What was he looking for? Was he throwing things, or he was picking things up to?
He was just throwing things. He was trying to smash that bottle, wasn't he?
Yeah, trying to smash a bottle, and I think it was just a kind of there's a angst. It's one of those things where you actually are in a kind of a place emotionally. Breaking stuff is kind of a release. But anyway, instead of that, he finds an ear.
Yeah.
He finds an ear in the ground, and it's covered in ants, which is a feature of one of the things about Blue Velvet, is that it crawls on the ground of what's not seen and what not necessarily is normal. And finding an ear, he takes it to the police, and the police kind of start doing background checks. The daughter of the police officer then teams up with Kyle MacLachlan, and they kind of start to investigate the origin of the ear and the mystery behind it, and what it all could mean.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, and then it kind of evolves drastically into meeting different characters such as Isabella Rossellini, who is she's a musician, she's a singer.
She's a singer, yeah. She husband and kid have been taken from her.
Yes, so she's
so a guy who's like the head of this gang, I guess.
Yep.
Can basically tell her and do what he wants with her.
Yeah. So and she's kind of going through these different stages of sadist masochism, which is kind of like a punishment thing. You know, she's punishing herself for not being able to control the situation and get her kid back, get her husband back, and you know, this is how Dennis Hopper is getting his yayas, by using her as a, well, let's just put it bluntly, a sex toy.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
And she's just basically trying to get through it. I think a lot of it's kind of like just blindsiding herself off to just try and just go through it, and because at the end, you know, she's gonna get her kid back.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an interesting profile on how what a mother would do for a kid.
Because really, in Lynch terms, this is a fairly straightforward narrative story.
Very straightforward, but it just goes deep.
Well,
it's on the ground. It's on surface and it's way underground.
Well, it's blatant at the very beginning, isn't it? Where you've got the white picket fence, the beautiful flowers, the nice thing the slow motion fire truck going by.
Yeah.
White picket fence, America, and then you've got the guy who's just watering his lawn. He has the stroke. He's down, and then it just sort of goes into the grass.
Yeah.
Then into the grass, and you see all the insects that are under there, all the beetles and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Which is basically it's the whole move under the ground is a foreshadowing of what's to come.
Yeah. But also, it's like nothing is as it seems on the surface.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lovely neighbourhood. What's going on beneath? You know.
Yeah. Just like our neighbourhood. So everything's in motion. Laura Dern kind of becomes the catalyst for the excitement for.
After he's found the
Carl McLachlan.
Yeah, later on he goes back to the policeman's house.
Yes, yeah.
And tries to get involved in it and find out because he's really interested, but obviously he can't get involved because it's a police matter.
Yeah,
so as he walks out, Laura Dern's there.
I think a lot of what he's doing as well is he's trying to distract himself. Yeah, I think a lot of it's a coping mechanism for dealing with his father. So I think him getting into this case, but having this fascination with this case is kind of just a distraction.
Yeah, so he's not thinking about his dad.
Yeah, which and also the connection with his dad as well, because everybody knows who he is. So he probably feels as though he kind of has the ability to get more information because of sympathy vote.
Yeah.
So yeah, she comes out from the darkness.
That's a beautiful shot, isn't it?
It's memorable, and in no way influenced our CaCO3.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because I'd never actually thought about that, because I hadn't seen the movie until then.
Oh, have you not seen this movie?
No. I hadn't seen this movie until after that.
Right.
So I was quite surprised to see the emergence of a person in darkness.
Yeah.
But where this is kind of a literal term, ours was a metaphor.
But the whole thing in that part of CaCO3 is totally Lynch.
It was, but a lot of it was, yeah.
That's what Lynch does. It was completely stolen.
Well, not entirely. It was because what we were doing, I think our influences and our obsessions, of course, with the Lynchian style, it's the thing is, every single filmmaker kind of runs with that feeling anyway. You know, they run with influence.
Yeah.
And I think we were able to kind of hone in on our own little things. I mean, that we did subtle camera movements that we've never seen before. We did observational shots. We did the glove compartment thing. But I think I can see that what we were trying to do was something that was on that level. And I think that everything that we could possibly do is going to have some sort of influence with David Lynch. I can't imagine not making something with that, because he's such a strong film. He is film. He is just.
Did you say he's one of? He's definitely one of, but is he the most important director to emerge out the 80s and 90s?
Definitely, and I think that his ability to turn down projects such as Return of the Jedi, it shows that he's not there just for fortune and glory.
Yeah, fortune and glory, kid.
Fortune and glory. He's there because of the art, and you can see that from Eraserhead.
Yeah.
The angst and the time spent on it, eating sandwiches at 3 a.m. and him and his wife, I think at the time, was it, or his girlfriend, were making it.
I think it was, yeah.
They were literally just living, breathing this movie. I tell you, if we could have that here, that would be a dream come true.
Yeah,
that would be
absolutely.
amazing.
But then, he uses incredible visuals to sometimes just tell a basic story. Like, Eraserhead really is just a guy who has a baby with, like, his girlfriend, I suppose. They weren't expecting the baby. There's something wrong with the baby. The wife can't cope with it anymore. She leaves home.
Yeah.
And he's only left to kill a kid.
But, yeah, exactly.
Essentially what the film is.
It's
a
weird.
broken marriage, broken relationship with a kid involved.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It's simple, but and it's usually just the thing about Lynch is that he likes rooms. Everything is set in a room. If it's not that room, it's the next room, and then things happen, and it's very simple, but it gives him a chance to kind of add layers, so many layers, because what some directors try and do to try and be clever is they try and do all these sweeping camera movements, and they have to do the longest shot, or they do transition shots through to this, vehicle shots, round shots, running shots. They try and do shots that nobody's ever done before. They try and do the elusive, I've never seen that before thing. And with Lynch, a lot of his stuff is locked off. A lot of it's just actors acting a scene out, and there's not a lot of complication in the setup of it all. It's just players meeting with players, talking to each other, something happens, think the story evolves. But what he does is so incredibly genius, is that he uses that little blocked off shot and he fills it with every single corner has a meaning. Every single light, shadow, piece of equipment, furniture, the shape of a clock, everything has a meaning.
Yeah.
Even though when you look at it, you could just say, oh, it's just a basic room. There's nothing, but there's always so much thought into every single choice.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of the time it's forcing you to stir into something you'd want to stir away from.
Yeah, true.
So you're stirring it right in the eye, and he leaves it for you to keep on watching. That's how his films sort of get into you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. But you remember...
It leaves its disease in you.
You remember every single image.
It leaves its disease in you.
And
that's where you get your strength from. That's Blue Velvet. That's what she says when he's, Anyway.
Is that when she's being cut, or...?
No, that's after her and Kyle's.
Yeah.
Jeffrey?
Yeah.
It's Jeffrey in the film, isn't he?
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, yeah.
When they've had sex. And she's like, you've left your disease. Your disease is still in me, and that's where it gives me strength.
It's incredible, isn't it? It's incredible.
Wow.
But simple things become, hauntingly.
Well, this is what I said before we started this. It's like you watch a Lynch film different than you watch anything else.
Yeah.
Because even like Lars von Trier and stuff like that are very sort of kind of surreal filmmakers in a sense. You watch a Lynch film and everything in it, you're trying to think, right, what does he mean by that? What does that mean? Does that symbolise something?
But it becomes a print on your head and in your mind. I mean, you can watch a Martin Scorsese film and you can barely remember what a set looks like. Yeah. You just know that stuff happens in that movie and it was exciting and it was booming and there was music. And it's all distraction as far as I'm concerned. But what Lynch does is he doesn't let you get distracted.
Mm-hmm.
He makes you remember. It's like staring at a photograph and then someone going, "Look at that! Did you see that? Look at that! Can you see that?
Yeah.
Look at that!" And he's just hammering it into your mind, into your memory, and that's the power of him. And I don't know how he does it. that nobody, you know, it just seems so memorable.
Yeah.
It's intense.
And
love it.
Like, and the nudity in this film, anytime you ever see anyone naked, it's never for titillation. It's
You're
always like a turn off. It's nothing that could make you go, oh. It's always...
It's not a basic instinct kind of
No,
movie.
exactly,
No,
you know what
no.
I mean? It's, and like, the one time you really see Isabella Rossellini naked is when she's outside the house waiting for him. She's all bruised and bashed, and it's not...
Exactly, and it's not...
And do you know where that comes from?
What's that?
When Lynch was walking to school or walking from school one day with his friend, he saw a naked woman walking across the street, and instead of being titillated by it, it actually made them both cry because it was so
upsetting
for them.
Yeah.
And he remembered that, and that's why he brought it into Blue Velvet.
But
So
that's where it... I mean, I think he puts a lot of himself in there. A lot of himself.
of course he does. Yeah, I think that's
It's
why
very,
it really gets to you, because you can see it's everything about a Lynch piece is him putting a bit more of himself out there all the time.
I think the only other director that's ever done that to me is Coppola.
Yeah.
Who he tends to kind of put things in there that are so personal and so memorable, and I think that's the form of a really good director. It's the same as an artist. I mean, people remember the most amazing pieces of art over the centuries, and there's an image: the girl with the pearl earring, the Mona Lisa. That one's a bit overrated. The Sistine Chapel, the touching fingers of Michelangelo, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
That's what it's called, the touching finger. Again, though, a line in this film, Van Gogh, gets mentioned, doesn't it?
Yeah?
Yeah, I forgot the line. I did it as a... You stay alive, baby. Do it for Van Gogh. That's the line.
Nice.
Not sure what it means, but there we go.
So with Blue Velvet, it's it gets under your skin. I watched it with Catherine the last time I watched it, and she seemed okay with it, especially the humour in the beginning with Laura Dern and Carl McLaughlin when they're trying to get information about the woman. When they're trying to get information about and they decide to go in as bug he goes in as a bug guy.
Yeah. That's right.
That's quite interesting. I
All
love that.
All those bits are very... it's like on purpose, it's very cheesy detective.
Yeah.
It's on purpose.
Exactly.
It's meant to detract you from what's about to come. Even the way they act is a little bit cheesy and a little bit...
Yeah, because it softens the blow. It kind of makes it easier and then the contrast is so extreme.
Exactly. Again, it's about getting under, isn't it? Getting beneath. The moment...
Start on the surface and you work...
Yeah. So everything's exciting, but the moment he gets into the cupboard, that's when it all changes.
Yeah.
So he's in the cupboard and he's watching Dorothy Valens.
Yeah.
I think it's Dorothy. Yeah, he's watching her get, essentially get changed and stuff. And,
yes.
And she catches him in there. But instead of get out, what are you doing? She makes him take his clothes off. And then
this was I could see the change in Catherine when we were watching this.
Yeah.
And when that happened, and she goes, "What? Why is she doing that? She doesn't know him." I'm like, yeah.
It's kind of the point.
That's kind of the point. She's, this, yeah.
Well, that's the thing that, in any normal person, and like I said, up to that point, apart from the beginning and the
ordinary person, this is a mindfuck for them.
Yeah. So because then she's like on her knees, takes his pants, his shorts down, and he's exposed then, and all of a sudden, all the power is to her.
Yeah, and which is how she's dealing with things. It's not as if she wants to do this. She's just trying to find a way of having control of the situation.
Yeah, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then it looks like it's about to go that way, and then the power shifts again because then Frank turns up.
Yes, she turns up.
Yeah. So, and the thing about this is you're watching something horrific, but you're in the same shoes as Kyle MacLachlan because he's stuck in the cupboard having to watch what's about to happen to this woman.
Yeah.
That he's clearly very attracted to.
Yeah.
And that's horrific.
Yeah, to actually see it all and to kind of react to it as well, by just hiding in the cupboard.
Yeah.
But the use of
because that's such a clever way of making a film.
Yeah.
Is to essentially be him stuck in that cupboard, having to watch what's about to happen to her, and powerless to do anything about it.
And that's why it makes it so compelling.
Yeah,
and that's
so
why it makes it
shocking.
You can't walk away from the situation because you, like you say, because you are in Kyle MacLachlan's shoes.
Yeah.
You don't feel as though you can let it go, and that's the mark of a good character. That's when you really get invested in the character, but because you just have that feeling of fear for him and for her as well.
Yeah.
It's a very strong visual. Loved it.
So yeah, our first introduction to Frank then.
Yes, Frank comes in.
And yeah, that was what I was going to say. There's an awful lot of "don't look at me" in it. When Kyle looks at Isabel, it's like, "Don't look at me, look away," And then when she looks at Frank, Frank's like, "Don't look at me, you fuck," and all that.
Yeah.
That means something. Not being able to look at someone.
Because it's about the gaze, female gaze, looking like. Okay. So you said it before that the idea of nakedness is kind of like you're drawn to it because you're gazing in wonderment, usually in titillation. But everything is kind of the opposite here. So the one thing that you have when you're actually intimate with somebody is you look at them. You want to look and enjoy and everything. And the whole idea of not looking, it's pushing and subverting everything.
Yeah, well, I don't think as much as not looking at the bodies, it's like you're not looking into their eyes.
It's the soul.
Yeah. It's like I don't want you to see me.
Yeah.
I hate myself.
I'm this isn't me here. This isn't me right now. If you start looking into the camera of my eyes, then you're going to destroy me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to let that happen.
Yeah. But what a awful character Frank Booth is.
He is, and it amazes me how Dennis Hopper or character actors, he is a character actor like that, can actually get so close to these characters.
Yeah.
So deeply close to them, and to not get lost in that.
Like famously, Dennis Hopper rung Lynch up and said, "I am Frank Booth. It is me. That is me. I need to play that character. I am Frank Booth."
David was in North Carolina. I called him on the phone, and I said, "I know we haven't met, but don't worry, because I am Frank Booth," which he seemed to be very thrilled about hearing. And then I understand he got off the phone and he told Isabella and Kyle, he said, "Oh my God, I just talked to Dennis Hopper." And he said, "Don't worry about Frank Booth. I am Frank Booth." He said, "That's great for the picture, but how are we going to have lunch with him?"
I was caught in a bind because I didn't want to know anybody like that, and yet for the film I had to have that person.
And how was it to direct Frank?
It was great. Dennis was Frank, but he's also somebody else too, so it worked out, extremely well.
He's so straight, it's very difficult to think that he has such a twisted, sick mind. Our dear David.
And Lynch talks so...
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. He's such a delicate...
Eloquent.
Yeah, guy, and he's like, "Okay, Dennis, yeah, all right, if you think you're that person."
If you think you're that person, then I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, exactly, And
I'm going to go and transcendentationally meditate.
All those words.
So it was a good choice.
And he's terrifying. He's terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Imagine if he lived on our estate. God.
Yeah. Hey, neighbor.
Hi, neighbor.
Go for a joyride, neighbor.
Come on, get in my car.
They initially tried helium with that.
But now we just...
Yeah, he said it would be ridiculous.
Save that for Twin Peaks.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
And that whole scene, and again, it's strange where he punches her in the face for looking at him, and then she turns her head back and she's smiling.
There's that straw dogs of, is she...
Yeah.
Is it because she's still alive and she's kind of like thinking, I'm still here?
She's just feeling something.
There's something, I'm still in here. And, maybe she broke him. in that moment, because he was the one who said, "Don't look at me," as if, "Don't look into my soul, don't try and break me," because in a way he's so messed up that it's like everybody has a vulnerable point, everybody has a soft point that could just destroy them in any moment. And I think that she kind of knew where it was. She kind of knows that there's a man in there that she could control and manipulate. And maybe she's just kind of realizing what it is that she can, how it is that she's going to get through it all. I don't know. It's weird, but it's funny because nothing's really talked about the son and about her son. It's not really a thread through the movie.
No,
so
it's just. I suppose it's the only reason why she's putting up with what she's putting up with, because he's got her son.
Yeah. But why? Why does he have her? Why does he have the son?
Well, we don't know.
It's part of the ambiguity of Lynch, you know. Why would that be?
But then I suppose that's not really what's important,
isn't it?
Well, I suppose it
for
is
her,
for her character.
World.
It is, but as the story is, we're just seeing like a little glimpse of time, a little passage of time where Kyle MacLachlan stumbles upon this and then gets himself in too deep.
Yeah, which is quite brave, because you don't see the kidnapping.
No.
You don't. You only see the aftermath when they're reunited at the end.
Yeah, you don't see her husband's ear get cut off.
No. And he's in there when we find him later.
Yeah, at the very end.
Yeah, which is that's the scene that stays with me the most.
The very ending.
Yeah, when he goes in and he sees the guy, the cop in the yellow.
Yeah.
Standing there. Is he a cop?
Yeah, he's a crooked cop, and he's got like a bit of brain.
Yeah, but he's just standing there. It's like one of those subdural hematoma patients where they operate on the brain to a point where he's actually still able to just stand up. Yeah. He still has complete control over his muscles and his body, and yet he's just standing there. And it's bizarre. It's like the choices made in this movie are astonishing. Why? Yeah. Why not? You know, the easiest thing to do was to just lie him on the ground and make him look dead. But stand him up. What a head fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's not quite dead, is he? He's just sort of,
he's on the edge.
He's on the edge, but he's just stood there with the radio on him, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And the whole radio is the reason why Kyle MacLachlan is able to get ahead of him.
Hide in the closet again.
Hide in the closet again, and then surprise him. But it's quite funny how that evolved, because you're kind of really with him then. You're really excited and you think, yes. But then the problem is that he stays in the closet for such a long time. There's such a tension building there, and you're kind of like, come on, go! He's in the room now. Just go. Just don't. Just leave. Just leave. Yeah. Just get out of there.
Well, when he goes into that room, he runs in and gets the copper's gun, doesn't he? And then he hides back in, and he's got the.
Yeah.
And he's waiting.
He's waiting.
What a film!
And my wife was destroyed at the end of it. She was like,
was she?
She was. Yeah, she's like.
She's all happy at the end.
She hated it, but she couldn't keep her eyes off it.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. I mean, and afterwards I said, "That's great. Do you want to watch another one? I'm going to watch Videodrome now. Do you want to watch that?" She goes, "What's Videodrome?" I said, "She actually don't want to ask. I'm going up to bed." It's like, I love her to watch these movies because, in a way, it's like Lost Highway.
Yeah.
Which is the film that follows after Twin Peaks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he has quite a break between films to do Twin Peaks.
Yeah, it was good because was Lost Highway like 88 maybe?
No, 92, 93.
Well, Twin Peaks Fire Walk was made in 92.
Right, so it must be 94, 95. Right. It was definitely in the era of when I was watching Barry Norman's film, which was after 93 onwards, because I just remember it coming out and the picture of the road and that kind of like, that looks interesting. That looks. Who is David Lynch? I don't even know who he is. I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, Blue Velvet was such a milestone movie for him because it really did pan out the future of all the films and the reason why we're able to talk about such great films such as Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive. Legendary. I hope he never stops.
Well, he's doing Twin Peaks at the minute.
I know. Isn't that exciting?
It is. I'm nervous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're anxious, and X-Files as well is coming through as well, and it's like so many good things to look forward to next year.
Yeah.
My God.
So we'll keep this podcast going until at least next year.
Maybe. Yeah. We're not gonna. Do you know what? We're gonna have the day, I think, for that.
Yeah.
When those both come out, it's gonna be one heck of a podcast talk.
Yeah.
So are you happy with Blue Velvet? Is there anything that bothers you about the film?
Not necessarily. No, absolutely not.
Great joyride. That was a frightening thing.
Yeah, and again, it's all Lynch is just so good with like soundscapes and light and dark and stuff, you know. And you never see where they're driving to or anything. You just keep seeing the lights going over Cal's face and stuff, and yeah, it's just so horrible. But we should talk about when they go to Dean Stockwell's apartment.
Oh yeah. Which it's quite interesting because there's a lot of background story there in relation to In Dreams and the Roy Orbison soundtrack that kind of crept in there.
And it's just such a striking scene, isn't it? When Dean Stockwell starts singing, miming to In Dreams, and then you're just seeing Dennis Hopper's face, Frank Bruce's face.
Getting off on it.
Yeah, well, at first he's like getting really upset, and you know it's really affecting him, and he starts to get angry again, doesn't he, and furious, and then he's like, right, turn it off.
But the funny thing is, you know, when after the joyride, and they arrive in that apartment where there's an old lady there who's kind of like a quaint little old lady, and all of a sudden I felt safe.
Really?
I thought, oh, thank God. I mean, usually criminals like that, they take them to dank, dark underground subway stations or something like that, or somewhere where all burnt out factory or something, and then they have the whole killing thing. You kind of think that's what it's going to lead to, that he's going to be brutally murdered, or but everything that you think is horrific, they take him to this apartment. And there's this quaint little old lady and this kind of a homely kind of a family just having a little bit of a party, a bit of a get together. Yeah. And I felt safe. I felt, Carl's going to get out of this easy. There's a little old lady there. You can just hide behind her, and she'll just slap Dennis with a handbag, and Dennis will say, "I'm sorry." I felt safe until Dean Stockwell came out in his full makeup, and I thought, oh no. Then I thought, well, the little old lady doesn't really have a chance of helping Kyle here.
He's just so bizarre the way the way he portrays that character.
Reminds me of Lost Highway, the guy at the party.
Yeah, the guy with the pale face.
Yeah,
pale face man.
And David Lynch has a bit of a fascination. I think he had with Fire Walk with Me with people who are kind of like mimes. But distorted versions of them, like clowns, but not clowns. It's kind of like these are the elements of the freak show that he wanted to then put into the dystopia and the unusual weirdness of Twin Peaks, and I can see where he was leaning towards with that.
Yeah,
the whole obscurity, the otherworldly kind of perception of what this character is. And the unpredictability of that, not knowing what he's capable of, what's going to happen.
This is sort of like a precursor to Twin Peaks, really.
Very much so.
Like I said, every time you see a truck go by that's carrying loads of logs from cut down trees, all I could think of was Twin Peaks. And it's you see it, I think 2 or 3 times, there's a massive truck going through the town to somewhere else. And you just feel like it's on its way to Twin Peaks.
It's nice
like the film is bridging the gap before Twin Peaks, And
I like that.
Yeah.
One of these days my log will have something to say about this. That's not quite the same quote.
Who's the lady with the log? Oh, we call her Log Lady.
But that's perfect. I mean, he likes to have characters that don't have names, but they are named purely as a label depending on what they look like.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that guy out of Lost Highway is called the Pale Face Man. I'm pretty sure that's his.
The Pale Face Man, or the. Yeah, exactly. So In Dreams, originally was supposed to be sung by Dennis Hopper.
Right.
Dennis Hopper was supposed to have that number, and he took it home and he sang. He learnt all the lyrics and learnt the song with Dean Stockwell. at the same time to help him out. And what happened was during rehearsal, Dennis Hopper started to sing In Dreams. And then all of a sudden Dean Stockwell came out from the side with another microphone, much to David Lynch's surprise. He wasn't expecting this. And then all of a sudden, Frank Booth starts to react to Dean Stockwell in that emotional way, as if no, he's got it, let him do it. And I was like, really, he just went into that character. David Lynch sat there and saw this as Dean Stockwell just completely nailed the song. And he goes, that's it, this is what I want in my movie, this is perfect, you guys have got it. And I said, so obviously it was manipulation, because it's like Dean really, really, really wanted to sing this song.
Yeah.
And he decided that he was going to do it. And Dennis said, yeah, go on, you do it. You have this. So it was really good that they were actually able to have that freedom. And I think David Lynch has relaxed a lot more since Blue Velvet, because he's able to let his actors do things that he didn't expect. Because you kind of expect Lynch to be quite a control freak when it comes to every single thing being exactly what's in his mind. But a lot of it is, art is free and it's open to expression.
I'm pretty sure, he'll have in his head exactly what he wants to happen, but if on set something else happens, I'm sure he'll run with that. That's what artists do.
Which I think is an incredible freeing thing that he's, and that's why, again, he's so successful, because he does let people just feel out the characters.
But then he's not done a whole bunch of films, has he? He hasn't done that many.
The best ones don't. I mean, I think prolific directors tend to just kind of do so many films that they how can you get invested in anything?
Well, he does so much. Some of the other things, he has his art, his music.
He has his
funnily enough,
masterclass as well.
Yeah, well, I've got his album, Crazy Clown Time, and I put it on at the shop.
Yeah, to play it on the shop?
Yeah, and one of the customers asked me to turn it off because it was scaring them.
Wow.
Because it's ambient, but industrial, and it's like his films get under you. That's what I want, a striking image in Blue Velvet. When they first go to Frank's places, you know, that big warehouse building.
Yes.
And they're sort of walking around it, and you just see this massive spotlight on the side of the building with all the sort of machinery just working, like a silhouette of it.
Yes.
What an incredible image.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah. And I've seen that as well myself, going around Manchester, that kind of image. And I think I took a film of a brewery that was spewing out all of its excess stuff from the filtration system into a truck. And that was glistening with the sun going through it, and there was steam and smoke coming from the device inside, and it was like this weird alien thing that I'd never seen before, and it was beautiful. And I kept on thinking, remember this spot, because Andy and I are going to have to come back here and film, because it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's still accessible to find these things, and I think that's one of those things that he does. He looks for things. He goes, my God, this is it, and I can imagine that would have been.
Well, so especially the earlier stuff, the industrial stuff was always part of his films. Like Eraserhead is full of that.
Yeah.
Big metal structures and
Twin Peaks. The intro has a lot of industry as well.
Yeah. Well, it's all the log making machinery and stuff. Yeah.
And it's he's not afraid to just put it out there and to find things.
What do you think of the end? It's quite graphic, isn't it? It blows the back of his head off.
Yeah. It's final. It's very final. David Lynch doesn't like open endings, I've noticed. He likes things to be final.
I just forgot how graphic it was. Obviously, Frank thinks he's in the back bedroom, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because he gets on the radio and says, "Detective, I'm in the back bedroom." You know,
which is clever.
Because obviously Frank Booth's got a radio on him, and then Frank's like, "You stupid fuck, you didn't know."
He calls him out. He calls him out on it.
So he does it anyway. He looks around for him, and Frank realizes he's in the closet. The moment he opens it, Kyle's got a gun in his face. Boom, and then just literally the back of his head just explodes out, and he drops.
Perfect. And it's kind of, it reminds me of a Cronenberg kind of explosion,
like body horror type thing.
Yeah. I think that was David Lynch is not known for that body shock horror.
Not really. No. He
like
in Lost Highway, when that guy falls onto the table and his head just goes right into the table, and then he's just stopped and he's there with his head in that table. You know, I think it's not body horror.
No,
like
it's just
Cronenberg,
kind of,
but you know,
it's more realistically like based on reality. I think. Yeah.
But as if the ending of it is like a dream. Everything is perfect.
Exactly, which kind of is full circle. Everything is back on the surface.
His dad's fine.
Yeah.
He's with the girl. He's got the girl.
Yeah.
And you know when he's sat in the garden, he's just looking up at that bird chirping, he just smiles.
It's just, but everything's
back to just beautiful.
The grass has grown again, and the turf is all good, and life is fine.
Yeah, and it ends on the flowers. You see the beautiful sky, and then you just see the child run up to Dorothy and give her a hug, and she's got a kid back, and she's happy. Everybody's happy, and it ends. It's a beautiful ending, but it's like dreamlike.
Yeah, because everything that has happened, like you say, it sets up like a dream, and then it goes underground, and then it kind of goes into that quirky murder mystery sleuth thing, Pink Panther, and then all of a sudden it just goes down.
Horrific.
So it's the roller coaster ride that really goes down, and then it just comes straight up, and you know it's over.
Yeah.
It's not as if he's gonna hold you down till the end, till the credits. He's let you go.
Interestingly though, I waited to the end of the credits.
Because you wanted to see when Magneto was going to come into it.
Yeah, that's what it was. I wanted to see what Thanos was going to do. But no,
we wanted to see the bloopers and the outtakes or the David Lynch song.
Yeah, David Lynch. But yeah, no, I seem to do that with Lynch films. Like,
you just
they
stay
sort of
with the
floor
credits.
me a little bit, so I need to get through the credits to sort of get some equilibrium back, and then I'm okay.
That's interesting. That yeah.
I've done it with pretty much the first time I see all these films. Pretty much the film finishes like Twin Peaks Fire Walk Me finished, and I was like floored.
Yeah.
So I just watched the credits for a while. But the weird thing is like Blue Velvet is an incredible film, and it's weird to have a film that it's that good, and you can say it's not his best.
No, but it's called Blue Velvet. I mean, the title doesn't really kind of evoke a lot of that kind of excitement and the hysteria. Ooh, Blue Velvet. It's in terms of mainstream as well. It's not. It's nicely tucked in that kind of area where people don't really want to touch it. Because
but it was that song though. It's Blue Velvet, the song that made him thought about. You know, where he came up with the idea of this, but not the original '50s version, the '62
Roy Orbison
version.
It's all Roy Orbison. Yeah.
I don't think it was Roy Orbison who did the remake of it. No, I forget who it was now.
Oh, are you kidding me?
No, he did In Dreams. That's Roy Orbison.
Yeah, In Dreams. Right, okay.
Blue Velvet, because someone had done like a version of it, and it's that version that really got Lynch thinking and got under his skin, and that's where it all comes from.
Was it Frankie Valli or something like that?
Was he the one who originally did it, or is he the one who did the?
It's the thing is, it's the song kind of reminds me of Blue Moon. It kind of it's not just a song. It is a part of the movie, and it kind of really feels like it belongs there. And of course, Roy Orbison, it was
In Dreams.
Dreams, of course. But he said Roy Orbison actually didn't like the film.
Well, no, because you can understand.
Yeah,
the candy-covered clown we call the Sandman.
Yeah, but In Dreams, it kind of meant something personal to him. So he kind of watched it again, and kind of like just held back his own personal idea of what In Dreams means to him, and then he got it. And then he apparently said to Lynch again that no, that's actually a really good film.
Well, Mark Kermode didn't like Blue Velvet when he first saw it, and he wrote a bad review of it.
Yeah, he hated and slated it. Yeah,
punched in the face.
He did. He got hit in the face
for not liking Blue Velvet.
I know, it's
the power
incredible.
of that film. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, I can understand how easy it is to kind of dislike this film as well. It's kind of like on the edge. You either get into it or you can just. It's so easy to kind of just.
Well, you always get people jump on the misogyny bandwagon.
Yeah.
They're saying because she's treated so badly in this film.
Yeah.
That it's misogynistic, but for most of the part, she's the person with the power. She's got the power over Frank when she's singing.
Yeah.
She's got all the power over Kyle. He's butter in her hand.
Exactly. I mean, after all, if you want to make a film about a damaged woman, blame the director. He must be getting off on it. It doesn't seem to make any sense when people are like that about film.
Because there's some films that are blatantly misogynistic, Michael Bay, but this isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't. But people, when you see a woman being treated really badly.
Yeah.
People will always say, "Oh, it's just misogynistic."
Yeah.
Interestingly, a film where a guy's being raped, no one ever says it's anti-man. It's bad towards men.
He is talking about a subject matter about a film, and like you said, when you do see Isabella Rossellini naked in the bush, in the shrubs,
yeah,
you do not sit there getting off on it. You sit there and you feel as though you need to protect and help. And that's exactly what the characters did, and that's kind of what we did as an audience. Yeah. And if anybody else says otherwise, it was just so that they can get Isabella Rossellini naked, then they're just fools and idiots.
Missing the point. Yeah,
missing the point. And that's people kind of get on something because they're all emotionally entangled in the wrong meaning.
He got told that the film had to be no more than 2 hours long. That was one of the reasons why he could get final cut. It's exactly 2 hours long. And there's a part where Carl McLachlan says, "I'm in the middle of a mystery. It's a strange world out there, but I'm in the middle of a mystery."
1 hour point.
Directly in the middle of the film.
You see, that's Lynch making a point.
Yeah.
That's making a point, but doing it in a very kind of concealed way.
Yeah, which is great.
And Badalamenti started his relationship with Lynch in this film. The musician who famously wrote the score for Twin Peaks and every other film that he did in this, and it was a
Mulholland Drive as well, didn't he?
Yeah, and he did it as a favour because a friend of his, originally, but before Blue Velvet, Lynch kind of used a lot of kind of iconic music in films or soundscapes that he created himself. He was very much involved in that, and he kind of didn't want to kind of give too much control away to musicians or artists to because usually what would happen is you'd have your film. It would then go to the studio to be edited, and then he'd hire somebody to do the score. He'd hire somebody to do the score, and whatever they did, hopefully, would be right. And Lynch was never keen on that idea. He would never. And so, meeting Angelo for the first time, was it Angelo? Angelo, yeah. Meeting him here, it kind of gave him a bit of a relief because he knew that he could use him for everything and know that he could get the emotional tone of every film and every thought.
I had a dream. In fact, it was the night I met you. In the dream, there was our world, and the world was dark because there weren't any robins, and the robins represented love. And for the longest time, there was just this darkness. And all of a sudden, thousands of robins were set free. And they flew down and brought this blinding light of love. And it seemed like that love would be the only thing that would make any difference. And it did.
A candy-colored clown they call the Sandman tiptoes to my room every night just to sprinkle stardust and to whisper, go to sleep, everything is alright. I close my eyes, then I drift away into the magic night. I softly say,
Rabbits.
Okay, where do you start with Rabbits? What is it?
Okay, I would definitely say it's a satire against sitcoms. Or not against, but a satire on
a satire on sitcoms, that's true, yeah. It began as a series of 8 or 9 episodes that David Lynch posted on his own website.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like just it was just a side project, really, wasn't it? It was nothing to it. It was an exhibition of.
Yeah, well, you'd like to say put it in. They're in Inland Empire, aren't they? They're like a sitcom in the background of Inland Empire.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure if it was made just for that or because he made Rabbits So I'm quite surprised Naomi Watts is in it, because I had a feeling that Naomi Watts couldn't stand Lynch after what he made her do.
When was Rabbits made?
2002.
2002. The thing is, I wonder if the whole Mulholland Drive thing about her being somewhat abused under the role and kind of forced to do things that she didn't necessarily want to do. I think that hype sells a movie, and I think that sometimes negative hype
I think Naomi Watts is difficult to work with a little bit as
quite
well.
Possibly, yes, but it didn't do any damage.
Did you ever... Not this one put her on the map, really.
Yeah.
Because before this, she was in Tango. She was the black-haired girl in Tango, yeah. With Laurie Petty.
But it didn't do any harm to the press to say that she had difficulty with Lynch, and Lynch same with her. But maybe this was just one of those things where she kind of realised maybe that what had happened. But by that time, that story had already gone. It's kind of like, sometimes a little slice in your life, like if you had a disagreement with somebody 1 week, and then for about 2 years you kind of just get over it and you just carry on working with each other. Yeah. But because that story was so profound and everybody liked to weave it in and out of every single narrative discussion regarding Mulholland Drive, that it kind of just lives on as a conflict.
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes adults get over things and they move on and they like to continue to work. But at least in this one, she was under no fear of being. Of doing anything that she didn't want to do.
Well, there doesn't appear to be a narrative.
No.
A lot of people speculate that because they say things in a very discordant way, and a lot of people think if you took the whole script and then jumbled it up, there's the sense there. It's as if he had a script written and then he just jumbled it up.
Yeah.
So there is. They are talking
to each other. It's a mythology, but yet nobody. Because I had a look on the internet because I thought about that. I thought, I bet you somebody out there has done a reassemble of the script, or a complete re-edit. But you'd literally have to take every single phrase, fill your room up with it on the wall, and then just kind of jumble it all up. It would send you insane.
It'd be like finding the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
Oh?
It must be after 7 p.m.
I have heard those things being said before.
I will bet you are both wondering.
It is still raining.
I would literally say, just give it to Charles Manson, he'll figure it out. He's got time on his hands, he's got the space.
Yeah, and as much as he tries, he's not going to get out, is he?
Yeah, but yeah, it is. There's no real common sense, but then you kind of get the tone and feeling that everything that is said is somehow linked anyway.
Yeah.
So in your own mind, you kind of hold on to what you need to remember. Okay, so the story is, sorry. What you see on the screen are
two female rabbits and a male rabbit.
Yeah, and the
humanoid figures dressed as rabbits. They talk nonsensical dialogue to each other. There's like a laugh track that keeps coming in. So what does she say? What time is it? And then a massive laugh, and then
there's the cheering, and there's the whole the sitcom trope of whenever a character enters a scene, there's a big clap and cheer. It's but
nothing happens until the clapping stops.
Then they carry on,
and then they and then they sort of walk and then just sit down, and then they could be sat down.
That's the fourth wall relationship there.
Yeah, and then they could be sat down saying weird stuff, and then he'll stand up and then sit back down again.
Yeah, that's it.
The only thing all three of them have in common is that soliloquy that they sort of say. They go to the front of the stage and give this
poetry
thing, which each one adds a little bit more.
Yeah, it kind of rhymes, but it builds, and that's the only kind of line that you can draw on the graph to say that there is some sort of an evolution in the storyline. And it's about barbed wire burning, and of course the two eyes of Satan. And there's a lot of references to hell, and which is kind of okay.
It's that ambient soundtrack to it. It's just gets under your skin.
It does, and it's relentless. It's brilliant.
So I watched the whole lot, the whole 45 minutes, just straight through.
I watched it 3 times.
Oh man.
And I'm fine. Look at me, I'm okay.
Yeah, okay. That blood bubble in your nose.
But there's the burning in the wall. There's the burn, and electricity is kind of a theme as well. And
interestingly, after they give that soliloquy, they fade out.
Yeah. Well, they fade out because there's actually 4 episodes here.
No, I don't mean the thing fades out. They disappear.
Oh, they fade out.
They fade out, but you still... It's like what's real all the time.
Yeah.
Because the stage is real, and he just gives this big talk, and then he just disappears.
So, yeah, it's one of those things where it's definitely an art piece.
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
It's not supposed to be there on mainstream television once a week to be enjoyed. The tropes are all there for sitcom.
Yeah.
That's definitely... I mean, at the end, they kind of all huddle on the couch.
Yeah, that's like the end where they all come to... It's like the end of a Cosby Show.
Yeah, which kind of makes it a bit disturbing reference these days. But
well, yeah, but you know...
maybe it's what happens in...
But like towards the end, there's that freaky thing where you hear a scream, and then the door just opens by itself.
Yeah.
Very slowly. And what is the devil thing? What is it? And you can't understand what it's saying, can you?
A lot of people kind of allude to the idea that this is something to do with hell. I mean, there's a lot of theories, and this is the beautiful thing about this, is that it's all about interpretation. Yeah. What we are saying on this in terms of a review, we can't really review this.
No.
But we can kind of tell you what we see and what we think and what other people have come suggesting. That this is actually a reference to hell, and that these characters are actually in purgatory or in some sort of a hell. And that's maybe a kind of an idea of that sitcoms, that characters in a sitcoms are all kind of like locked in this eternal hell themselves, because they're just characters in a film, in a series. None of them go to work. None of them actually have jobs. They just go around doing the most mundane details.
You don't know, because he sort of comes back from somewhere, doesn't he? And you assume he's come back from work.
But we never know. The characters in sitcoms, they always come back from work, but they're never actually living a life of work. They don't have breakfast and go out, and they always seem to be at home pretty much all the time. In this, and no matter what time of day or what day it is, they're always kind of just appearing. They're arriving in their home. So maybe that's kind of the idea that sitcoms represent a kind of a hellish reality where you literally just stuck in this box, and this is it. You're just going to repeat life over and over and over and over and over. Just doing things that make people laugh, but none of the actual lines that bring about the laugh track are actually funny.
It's funnier than anything in The Big Bang Theory.
Funnier than it is currently, to the point where it's ridiculously unfunny. The other theories are that they're actually dead, that they're ghosts,
right,
and that they're just kind of incarnate spirits that just inhabit this room. And they just kind of repeat parts of their lives that, maybe it's because I watched it 3 times that I kind of get the idea of repetition. That they just live in this kind of a purgatory, and the guy in the green suit, the man in the green suit,
talk about
is the living person who they're aware of,
right,
and that we don't see because.
Don't think I got that from it.
That was another theory.
Yeah, I don't think I got that from that.
Yeah, it's just...
I definitely took the satire on the sitcom.
Yeah.
It's obviously there. It's just a strange... I find it really freaky.
Yeah, I think you find
really
anything
weird.
that you can't understand, it has to be kind of a freakiness to it.
Yeah.
Things you don't understand, because the thing is, we like to kind of solve problems. We like to solve mysteries. And that's why art is generally, interpretive art especially, surrealism, is way out there in terms of getting people buzzed about things and making them question it and getting them to discuss it over and over again and come up with endless theories. And this is what this is. It's an incredible piece of art that has brought about a lot of debate, but through critical acclaim. I think people are afraid to say that it's rubbish.
Yeah, because if you say it's rubbish, that means you don't get it.
You don't get it, but then
it's hard to get it.
There's nothing to get, and I think that you can't be afraid to say that you get what you want to get from it. You can't just blanket canvas everybody with the same ideal. What you get from it is what you get from it, and I think if I ever watched it again, which I probably will, because I think the last time, do you remember when we watched this, was it last year?
Yeah, because it gives the idea to write a similar piece.
To do some surrealist theatre, which we've written but haven't performed yet.
No.
Which kind of goes on our let's wait until the boy goes to school.
Yeah, list.
We're going to have so many projects to get onto.
I know. Yeah.
It's like we've got surreal shorts, we've got a sequel to CACO3 that we want to work on, some short films.
And that's not something visual. I've literally bought a pair of surreal shorts. I'm going to wear.
Work on a few shorts. Wouldn't that be a short? A short about shorts.
A short about shorts.
Yeah.
The short shorts.
Short shorts. So yeah, I'm quite happy with what Rabbids is. I'm just glad it's out there because it just kind of inspire you.
It does, and I think because it's just one locked off camera the whole time.
Yeah.
No movement in camera. The only difference is the difference in lights.
Yeah.
And that's the only one when it changes to red when the devil speaks, comes through. Which if you notice is like a hologram, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
And then she comes out with 2 lights.
Looks like an upside down chin.
Yeah.
Kind of a potato thing.
And then the only other time is when you hear that scream, isn't it? It goes black, and then because the door's open, you're black, but some light comes in through the door.
It kind of
and then the
reminds
lights
you
just come back on again. I even like the way the camera goes out of focus and has to focus back in.
Yeah, focuses, and it's like that's really breaking the that becomes meta because it's like, well, that's a camera. That's obviously a camera working there.
Yeah.
Which kind of harks you back to when we were talking about how to be a god, how the camera is a pair of eyes looking at something. But where are we looking at? What are we looking at? A set? Are we looking at a sitcom? Are we just looking into the mind of something? There's so many possibilities. Incidentally, he did film this in the back garden of his LA home. He built the set there and invited everybody there to film it. So it was quite an intimate setting, and he was obviously able to figure out the lighting in his own time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because he's wanted to have live sounds on the set, that the neighbours were a little bit annoyed. But
screw them.
I'm sure they'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm David Lynch.
Hey, I'm Lynch.
Come on.
I'm doing a Lynch movie, okay? Don't worry about me.
Here's some coffee.
Damn fine coffee.
Yeah. I need to try his coffee. He's got his own brand of coffee, hasn't he?
He does, yeah. I think I think you can just live on Lynch. I think he should just bring his own lifestyle house. You know, he's like, you can buy
Transcendental meditation.
You should be able to buy an already fully furnished Lynch house full of Lynch food and Lynch drink and a bookshelf of all of his movies.
You know the secret.
What a hotel!
Yeah, you know the Secret Cinema. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's really expensive, but it's like the most immersive experience. Like they've done the Secret Cinema of Empire Strikes Back, and it's like walking into the set. You know, it's cold and there's snow everywhere, and then you watch the film and you're at similar.
I love immersive cinema because
I don't know why they call it Secret Cinema because everyone knows about it.
But yeah, I mean,
I'd love a Secret Cinema Lynch.
That's why I like at Halloween. I love the idea of opening up the cabin there and just having horror movies, just playing horror movies through on a projector.
Yeah.
Whilst trick or treaters keep coming around.
That'd be great.
And I've done immersive cinema accidentally as well. Whilst watching 13 Days about the Cuban Missile Crisis, I watched that whilst flying over Russia.
I remember you saying, yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that I like to play with.
When it happens, you will know it.
is op halva upp de hawan ingenstans. Börja på mig som att civila.
Yeah, so, yeah, Blue Velvet, incredible.
And rabbits.
Rabbits.
It's whatever you want it to be. It's whatever you want it to be.
It's a strange world.